Get ready for some pizza, folks. Yeah. 123.25 grams of warm water using instant dry yeast, 1/4 teaspoon, 1.95 grams of sugar. Mix everything together in the bowl. And then the flour. I'm using 00 flour from Caputo, 199 grams, and you want to stir it all together. Make sure everything is well combined. You'll know when it is ready when the flour is completely absorbed into the water and it's no longer sticking to the sides of the bowl. This will be perfect if you're making a pizza anywhere from 14 to 16 inches, depending on the thickness of the crust and the edge. Then kind of fold it over. Make sure everything is well absorbed and well combined. Then add the salt, 3.95 grams of salt. And you also want to work this in so everything is well combined. You want to make sure that salt is well distributed throughout the dough. And then take it out onto the counter, further work it out a little bit, stretch it, fold it. And the last thing is olive oil. You want 2.95 grams. After that, you want to go for the long kneading process. And this could take anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes depending on your ability. But you just want to kind of really stress it and stretch it and fold it and turn it around and do it again over and over and over again. You really want to give that dough a good workout. Next, you want to ball it up and kind of tuck everything from the top down. See how I'm doing that, stretching it down, and then at the end flip it upside down, and you want to pinch it together to trap all of the air inside, and then flip it right side up, give it a little twisty around, spraying a bowl with avocado oil spray, and putting the dough ball in there and making sure every part of that dough ball has some oil because you don't want it to dry out by any means. Covering it with plastic wrap and letting it sit out at room temperature. For the sauce, I'm using pomi 26.4 ounce box of chopped tomatoes. Adding that to my container first, and then double concentrated tomato paste, about a tablespoon, and 10 grams of sugar, 5 grams of salt, and 10 grams of olive oil. Also adding some oregano, that's optional. And about a tablespoon. I like to crush it in between my palms. It activates it. And then grab your immersion blender or any kind of blender, or just do it by hand with a whisk. It doesn't matter. But you want everything to be blended and mixed together until you achieve that perfect consistency. It should still be somewhat thick. It should not be thin. And you could tell from looking at this, it's nice and thick, but it's not too thick. I've had the dough in there fermenting about 8 hours now. It has a nice fermented smell and no refrigeration necessary if you do it at room temperature like this. Flour the surface a little bit. It's really important you get the dough out of here without causing much stress to it, because if you do that, it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to stretch out. You can tell the dough is nice and airy, all kinds of air pockets in there. A little bit of flour on top. And you want to push it from the center out, forming your crust, or your edge, should I say. And you just want to use your fingertips. I'll be putting it on a 16-inch pizza screen. And I like a nice thin crust pizza where it's thin in the center and a little bit of an edge. And that looks just about right. It's almost 16 inches. I could probably stretch it out and there we go. I mean, that's pretty darn close, right? Here's the sauce I made earlier, nice and thick. You want to get it near the edge of the pizza, not really on top of the edge, but right to the edge. And that looks like a perfect amount of sauce. You don't want to go too heavy on the sauce, or you will have a soggy pizza bottom. Next, some Parmigiano Reggiano. Next, some freshly grated mozzarella cheese. You could go on top of the crust a little bit, or on top of the edge, should I say, but I really don't like doing it that way. Some people do. And I'm just going for a cheese pizza, and not a crazy amount of cheese, just kind of a light to medium amount of cheese. Believe me, that cheese will melt and spread all out. And lastly, a little bit of oregano. I already preheated the Pit Boss to 500. Look at that, it's reading 530. Nice and hot. Pizza's been in there about 8.5 minutes. Oh yeah. That's what I'm looking at. Building my dad a pizza. This time I'm using semolina flour on the work surface. You can use either regular flour, semolina flour, it really doesn't matter. Here's the dough for my dad's pizza. Look at that. So many air pockets. And it's been fermenting all day, so probably a good 9 hours, 10 hours, I don't know, something like that. Has a nice fermented smell. And again, this shows that you really don't have to do the overnight or 2 or 3 day ferment in the refrigerator. You could just do it this way for a quick cheat. Same thing as the first one. You don't want to stress the dough, because if you do, it really won't be easy to stretch and it'll bounce back on you, and you definitely don't want that happening. So I'm just freeing it from the side. And here we go. I like using the avocado oil spray. It really releases a lot easier compared to when I use olive oil. Also, I like to use the glass round bowls because it will keep the round shape, which will assist you in stretching it. Applying a little semolina to the top. Do a little flip. And again, just use your fingertips and go to where you want the edge of the crust to start. So if you want a thicker edge, leave it thick. Otherwise, press it out further so it's a thinner type of edge. At this point, once you got the edge defined, you could flip it over. The side that was moist near the bottom of the bowl is now facing up. And you could kind of go from the center out. And I flip it back over. And at this point, The pizza's pretty dry, okay? So you don't need all that extra semolina. So just go ahead and get rid of that, put it aside. Put your pizza back on. And it should easily spin around. And that's all you really need to do to stretch it, unless you're going for a New York type of pizza, which you're going to want to pick up and manipulate the way I did the first one. So you really just need to stretch. And make it whatever size you like. And if you need to stretch it, go underneath the pizza and pull back. Don't do it from the front like that. And that's looking pretty darn good right there. So just pick it up. And get it on the screen. And you can just readjust wherever you need to. Hopefully my dad enjoys it. It's mostly circular, kinda, mostly. But I'll tell you what, this dough is super soft. It'll let you keep stretching it, it's not a problem. But I didn't want to go too thin, and I could tell I am a little thin in some spots, so I'm gonna stop right there. Here's the sauce I made earlier. Put a decent amount, but not too much, because the undercarriage won't really crisp up if you put too much. I could have probably put a little bit more there. It's okay, could always add it after. And just spread it out. You want it to go right up to the edge, but not on top. And I'm still not perfect at this, folks. I'm going to tell you that right now. I got some work still in me to get this down, but I feel a lot more confident than I did a year ago, I'll tell you that much. You just want to kind of paint this, and don't press down hard on the dough. I'm just kind of gliding it on the top. Next up, hitting it with Parmigiano Reggiano. Next, I'm going in with the whole milk mozzarella, and you want it to go all the way up to the edge. Some people like putting it on top of the edge, but I rather not. And once you got the edge all cheesed up to where you want it to be, then you can work on the center. And you don't want to put too much cheese, because then it's just going to be a bubbly mess. So be careful on the amount of cheese that you put on. And I'm putting a real decent amount, like by some shop standards, this may even be a little too much. But that's looking good. I like that right where it's at. For the topping, my dad's going veggie on this one. So he wanted some red onions in addition to some mushrooms. And it looks good to go. Let's head out to the Pit Boss. Okay, Pit Boss has already been heated up to 500 degrees. It's actually showing 505 to 510 on the panel. All right, pizza's been in there a bit over 9 minutes. And the time it'll take is different depending on your toppings. Just kind of monitor the bottom. Once the cheese looks at that nice kind of goldenness, you want to pull it out before it gets too dark. Just waiting for the cheese to brown a little bit more than it is right now. Ooh, look at that. You want to put it onto a raised cooling rack. That'll help keep the bottom of the crust nice and crisp, otherwise it's going to get soggy. Welcome back, folks. Here I am with my pepperoni pizza. Undercarriage looks really nice on this one. Oh man. There's some crispiness to the undercarriage, not too heavy or crazy. It's a nice thin pie, the way I like them. I've really got to learn to make them thicker. It's a matter of personal preference, but I always like mine thin. But I did do a puffier edge on this one. That sauce is so perfect. The Parmigiano Reggiano, I love using that cheese. And the whole milk mozzarella, don't buy the skim stuff. It's just not as good. It's not as flavorful. Also, the pre-shredded stuff, stay away from that because that has like anti-caking agents in it and it just doesn't melt as good. It's not really as good a flavor either. Definitely a very tasty pie. If I was Dave Portnoy and I had to do a one bite pizza review, honestly, I would give it at least a 7.5. It's not a 10 or anything like that. Really what I would like to get is a pizza oven, one that either fits in the Pit Boss or a standalone one that could go to propane. I would thoroughly enjoy having one of those because then I'd get the top nice and crisp and blackened the way it is with those kind of ovens. And they also cook a lot faster. It's a lot more aggressive heat. I know I would dig it. As far as the edge goes, crunchy, nice and crunchy. All in all, you could tell the pizza has a wood-fired taste. It doesn't taste smoked, but you could tell it was cooked like on a wood fire, that type of thing. I really dig it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Dad, you like the pizza?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah?
Great.
Good mushrooms and onions and cheese and all that? Good, good, good.
Everything.
Well, my dad loved it as well, so there you go. He just doesn't want to be on camera. Make sure when you're stretching the pizza, follow exactly what I did, and it's going to make it so super easy. Make sure to release the pizza softly so it doesn't stress the dough. Because if you do that and try to stretch it out, you're going to have a hard time stretching it out, and it's going to spring back. So you got to let that gluten relax, and that's what that whole period is. Plus, it ferments it a little bit. This would probably be better with like a 2-day ferment in the refrigerator, but I wanted to show how you can make pizza in one day, make only one pizza if you want with this recipe. I think it might serve some good to some folks out there. And you could do this in your oven. Just crank it up as hot as your oven goes. It doesn't matter. I just like doing it in the Pit Boss. So that's about it. I'm gonna close this out and eat the rest in private. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, drop me a line below. I love hearing from you. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you leave. I got all kinds of good things coming up. And until next time, have a stellar day. Be excellent. And remember me, I'm KJ Andy O, your food experience host with the most. Y'all take care, and I'll see you next time.